You're watching Forsaken Joe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the story. Let's begin. My name is Ben, and I wasn't prepared for what happened at my brother Jack's wedding. To be fair, I wasn't really prepared for any of it. It wasn't just the fact that I had to dig out the suit I hadn't worn in years, the one that barely fit and didn't look quite right, but it was the cost. I couldn't even afford to buy a proper new one, and I was already drowning in debt. But I went anyway. I had to. After all, Jack was my brother, and this was his big day. I had done so much for this family, for Jack especially. I was always the one they turned to, the reliable one, the one who would show up when no one else did. I had paid for so many of their weddings, their birthdays, their emergency bills. I didn't mind, or at least I told myself I didn't. The reception was grand, just like Jack had always dreamed of. There were beautiful decorations, a huge banquet, and a giant screen that flashed through family memories as everyone clinked glasses and shared laughter. The slideshow was supposed to be a celebration of love. But, like everything else that night, it was a cruel twist of fate. It started off fine. Photos from our childhood, our parents, Jack and his new wife laughing in their first years together. It was heartwarming at first. Then, the screen flickered. I didn't think much of it at first, until the slide that appeared was, well, it was a slap in the face. It was a photo of me, but not the kind you want to show off at a wedding. It was a snapshot taken years ago. It was a photo I had hoped no one would remember. A picture of me at a doctor's office after I found out I couldn't have kids. Next came a photo of my divorce papers, framed against a background of empty bottles and unopened bills. Then, the last one, my bank statements, the ones showing how many times I had bailed out Jack and the rest of the family. Laughter erupted from the room. I could feel my face turning red, but it wasn't from embarrassment. It was from the boiling anger inside me. Jack was sitting there, smirking, not even trying to hide the satisfaction on his face. It felt like I was trapped in a nightmare. My parents, both sitting at the head table, were laughing along with the crowd, but it was Rachel's laughter that cut the deepest. Rachel, my wife, was supposed to be my partner. She was supposed to be there for me, and yet here she was, laughing. Her laugh was cruel, unrestrained, and it echoed in my ears. She didn't even try to hide the fact that she was enjoying this humiliation. In that moment, something inside me broke. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. Rachel had been emotionally detached from me for a while now. She didn't care. She never had. And neither did my family. I looked around, searching for someone, anyone, to help, to say something. But there was nothing. No one stepped in. No one had the guts to stop it. Not even Jack, the one who had orchestrated this mockery. But as that realization washed over me, another one followed. I had had enough. I had given and given and given, and all they had ever done was take. I had been the butt of their jokes for too long, and I was done. As the laughter continued around me, I made a decision. It was time to reclaim my dignity. From this moment forward, I wasn't going to let them use me anymore. And when the night ended, I walked away from it all. I had just been humiliated in front of everyone I cared about, but it wouldn't be the end of me. It was only the beginning of something else. It was 2 weeks before Jack's wedding when I stumbled upon Rachel's phone. She'd left it on the bathroom counter, screen unlocked, a rare lapse in her usual vigilance. I had never pried into her phone before, but something about the way she had been distant lately made me pause. Something felt wrong. I didn't think much of it at first, but then a message notification popped up. It was from a man named Aiden. I didn't recognize the name, and curiosity gnawed at me. I opened the conversation without thinking. The deeper I scrolled, the worse it got. What started as a simple exchange quickly turned into something darker. There were flirtations, intimate photos I had never seen before, and then, the final blow, plans for a future together once Rachel and I were divorced. They spoke openly about splitting up my savings. They even joked about how easy it would be to take me for everything I had. My hands were shaking as I read through the messages. A part of me felt numb, like I couldn't quite grasp what I was seeing. Another part of me, the part that had been suspecting something for months, felt a sick satisfaction in knowing my instincts had been right. She was cheating, and worse, she was planning to take everything I had worked for. But I didn't confront her that night. I wanted to, needed to, but I knew I had to be careful. This wasn't just about betrayal. It was about strategy. I couldn't let Rachel know I was onto her, not yet. If I wanted to expose her for what she was doing, I needed more than just her words on a screen. I needed proof, irrefutable evidence that would silence any lies she tried to spin. The next day, I followed her. I'd been watching her lately, noting the small discrepancies in her story. The late nights at the office, the sudden girls' nights that seemed to pop up out of nowhere. She thought I hadn't noticed, but I had. I tailed her as she drove into a condo complex on the outskirts of town, a place I had never seen her visit before. My heart pounded in my chest as I parked down the street, hidden in the shadows. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew I had to see this through. About 10 minutes later, she emerged from the building, Aiden following close behind. He put his arm around her as they walked to his car, laughing. Rachel's laughter was different from the one she used with me. It was light, carefree, as if nothing in the world mattered. It hit me like a physical blow. She was with him. I watched as they drove off together, the sickening reality settling deep in my stomach. I knew the truth now. There was no more denying it. Rachel was having an affair, and she planned to take everything from me when it ended. I didn't go home that night. I sat in my car for hours, the weight of what I had just seen pressing on me, suffocating me. I had always tried to be the good husband, the dependable one, but now I realized it wasn't enough. Rachel didn't care about me. She never had. And the more I thought about it, the angrier I became. I wasn't going to let her get away with this. I was done being the fool, the laughing stock. It was time for me to take control, to expose her for who she truly was. I spent the next few days obsessing over the discovery. The sick feeling in my stomach didn't go away, but my anger, my resolve, it grew stronger. Rachel thought she could get away with this. She thought she could destroy me and walk away unscathed. Well, she was wrong. I needed evidence, irrefutable proof that would leave no room for denial, no way for her to manipulate the truth. If I was going to expose her, I had to be meticulous, so I started with the house. I wasn't just going to sit back and let her continue her charade. I would show her that I had learned to play her game. I started small. Security cameras in the living room, in the hallway, a few in the bedroom. I made sure they were discreet, hidden in plain sight, like ordinary home security equipment. I didn't want Rachel to know what I was doing. She wouldn't know until it was too late. The audio recorders came next. I planted them in places where she couldn't see them. Her purse, the kitchen counter, the living room shelf where she usually left her phone. My mind raced as I imagined the conversations I might capture, the lies she'd continue to tell. Each piece of evidence would make her fall further into the trap I was setting. I watched her like a hawk, playing the role of the dutiful husband, smiling when she came home, acting like everything was fine. But beneath it all, I was waiting for the right moment to strike, waiting for her to reveal more of her deceit. Rachel's behavior became increasingly erratic. She started staying out later, her excuses more flimsy and less believable. One night she came home smelling like perfume I didn't recognize, her makeup hastily wiped off. She told me she'd been working late, but I wasn't an idiot. I knew exactly what she had been doing. Her lies became bolder. She started to tell me about the girls' nights that she and some friends were having. Yet, whenever I tried to follow up with the women she mentioned, they never seemed to know what she was talking about. More red flags. Every lie, every slip-up, only confirmed what I already knew. Rachel had been living a double life, and I was the fool who had been paying for it all. Then, late one night, I made a discovery that made my blood run cold. As I sat at my desk, going through the documents I'd been gathering, I stumbled upon an email from Rachel to a lawyer. It was titled Initial Divorce Consultation. I clicked on it, heart hammering, and read her message. She had been planning the divorce for months. She had already contacted a lawyer, was negotiating terms to secure all the assets, and was waiting for the right moment to drop the bomb. She planned to take everything, my money, the house, everything I had worked for. The realization hit me like a punch in the gut. She had been preparing for this moment. She had known all along what she was going to do. I sat back in my chair, the weight of her betrayal pressing down on me. She thought I was too blind to see it, too weak to fight back. But now I knew. I knew exactly what she was doing, and I wasn't going to let her get away with it. The wedding was just around the corner, and that was when I would expose her. It wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming my dignity, showing her that I wasn't the man she thought I was. I would take control, and I would do it on my terms. I had the evidence. Now, it was time to plan the perfect moment to reveal it. She would never see it coming. The wedding was everything Jack had dreamed of. Lavish, beautiful, and filled with the kind of high society glitz my family loved. The guests mingled, enjoying their champagne, unaware of the storm I had been planning to unleash. Jack, of course, was the center of attention, basking in his day. But something inside me had shifted. I couldn't let this go on any longer. After the slideshow, the one where my personal failures had been so eagerly showcased, I walked up to the microphone. The laughter from the guests had died down, leaving a tense hum in the air. I knew this was the moment. It had to be. I subtly tapped the button on my phone, triggering the start of my own video. The room went quiet as the lights dimmed, and a new video began to play on the screen. It was dark at first, just the blurry outline of a hotel lobby. Then, the camera focused, and there she was. Rachel, my wife, stepping into the lobby with Aiden, the gym trainer I'd seen on her phone. They walked in, laughing, and then they kissed, passionately. The room was silent for a moment, before the realization began to sink in. I let it play. The next clip showed text messages between Rachel and Aiden, mocking me, my financial struggles, and even our marriage. They joked about how easy it would be to take everything from me once the divorce was finalized. The laughs in the room died completely. My family, who had once laughed at me, now sat in stunned silence, processing what they were seeing. I wasn't done. I tapped my phone again, and the next clip appeared, an audio recording of Rachel's voice, caught during one of her late-night arguments with Aiden. In it, she mocked me for my emotional struggles, my need for validation, and my desperation to hold on to a marriage that was already dead in her eyes. The words I'd never heard, the ones I'd always feared, were laid bare for everyone to hear. And then, the final blow. A clip from our bedroom security camera, where Rachel, alone in our home, taunted me about how easy it was to deceive me, how she had everything planned out with Aiden. The room was in complete shock. Every whispered word, every surprised glance between family members, they were all caught in the aftermath of the truth that had just been exposed. I stepped back from the mic, taking a deep breath. I looked around the room at my family, at Jack, at Rachel, and then I said the words I knew I needed to say. "You broke me, Rachel. And now, I'm going to rebuild without you." The words hung in the air, and as the echo of my voice faded, I dropped the mic. The sound of it hitting the floor was like a gunshot, reverberating through the silence that followed. I turned and walked out, my heart pounding, but no longer in fear. I was free. Rachel, still frozen in shock, didn't move, and my family sat there, speechless, as the truth settled over them like a cold blanket. I had exposed Rachel, and I had exposed myself. But this time, it wasn't with shame. It was with power, and I would never look back. The wedding reception had barely ended when I felt Rachel's presence behind me, her footsteps quick and sharp, chasing me down like she was trying to catch a runaway car. I stopped in the hallway, just outside the exit doors, and turned to face her. Her eyes were wide with anger and fear, her voice trembling as she spoke. "You humiliated me," she spat, her voice trembling with a mix of rage and disbelief. "You made a spectacle of me in front of everyone. How could you do that?" I stood there, calm, every nerve in my body tense but controlled. My anger was still there, deep, seething beneath the surface. But I wasn't going to lose control. Not now. "You're the one who humiliated yourself, Rachel," I said, my voice low and steady. "You did that with your lies, your betrayal, and your affair. I'm just exposing the truth. The truth you've been hiding from everyone, including me." Her face twisted with defiance. "You don't understand. You stopped making me feel wanted. You stopped making me feel alive. This marriage was dead for a long time, Ben. You just didn't see it. I was—" "You were what?" I interrupted, my voice suddenly cold. "You were bored? Unhappy? So, you decided to find someone else to fill the void? You decided to betray me, mock me, and ruin everything we had because of your own dissatisfaction?" Rachel's face reddened, her fists clenched at her sides. "It's not that simple, Ben," she said through gritted teeth. "You don't understand. You're so wrapped up in your own world that you couldn't even see I was suffering." "Suffering?" I laughed bitterly. "Suffering is what I've been doing for the past few years, while you played me for a fool. You were never satisfied, never happy. You were just using me to prop up your own life, to fill in the gaps while you secretly planned your escape with Aiden." Her eyes narrowed, her expression darkening with fury. "Don't talk about him like that," she hissed. "He's better than you. He actually makes me feel wanted." I took a step toward her, the words slipping out before I could stop them. "You settled for me. and you ended up with someone worse. A gym trainer who has no respect for you, no future with you, just another man who will discard you when the next shiny thing comes along. Rachel's hand slapped across my face before I could even react. The sting burned, but I didn't flinch. I stood there, my eyes locked onto hers, waiting. "Does that feel good? Did that make you feel better?" I asked calmly. She was breathing hard, her chest rising and falling with each breath, her face a mix of fury and confusion. She didn't say anything in response. She just stood there, seething. I took a step back, then turned and walked away. "Goodbye, Rachel," I said quietly, the finality in my voice leaving no room for negotiation. "I'm done." Her voice trembled as she called after me, but I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I had done what I came to do. I had exposed her lies, shattered the image she had so carefully constructed, and I had walked away. I didn't need her anymore. I didn't need any of them. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. I hadn't even made it home from the wedding before I started to feel the weight of everything that had just unfolded. The adrenaline from exposing Rachel had started to wear off, and the realization of what I had just done was starting to sink in. I had humiliated her, publicly for everyone to see, and there was no going back now. But what hit me harder than the exposure was the aftermath, the immediate consequences. The flood of messages began almost as soon as I entered the door. Texts from Rachel, from my parents, from Jack. All of them telling me I had crossed a line, that I had ruined everything. Rachel, though, was the most persistent. Her messages, desperate and frantic, filled my phone in rapid succession. "Ben, please, what the hell was that? Ben, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Please talk to me. Please don't do this. We can fix this." But I wasn't interested in fixing anything. The next morning, I discovered that Rachel had filed a restraining order against me. She claimed I was threatening her and Aiden, painting me as some kind of dangerous, unhinged husband. It made my blood boil to read her lies. She had planned this all along, manipulating the situation to make herself look like the victim. But I was prepared for this. I had spent weeks gathering evidence. The video, the recordings, the texts, everything was in place. I reached out to the police, showing them the evidence I had meticulously collected, exposing Rachel's lies for what they were. I wasn't the one who had been dangerous. She had been the one betraying me. She was the one lying. Then, the following morning, I saw it. A photo of Rachel outside the wedding venue, tear-streaked face in full view, her hands clasped together as if begging for forgiveness. She had posted it online, her last-ditch attempt to regain control of the narrative. The caption read, "I'm sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. Please forgive me, Ben." It sickened me. I knew what she was doing. She wasn't sorry for what she had done to me. She was sorry because I had taken back control. She was sorry because she was facing the consequences of her actions. But I wasn't about to let her manipulate me again. I ignored her messages, ignored her calls, and shut myself off from the drama. I had learned that lesson the hard way over the years. She was playing the victim, but I wasn't falling for it anymore. Rachel's behavior only cemented my resolve. She was unraveling, clinging to whatever scraps of power she had left. But I knew I had to keep moving forward. I couldn't let her take me down with her. The next chapter of my life had already begun, and it was going to be one where Rachel didn't have a part. The dust had barely settled from the wedding, but the emotional toll of the past few days had already begun to weigh on me. I wasn't going to let Rachel's lies ruin my life any longer. As soon as I returned home, I set the wheels in motion for the next phase, separating myself from everything she had tainted. I started with the legal separation. I signed the documents to freeze our joint accounts and assets, making sure she couldn't take another cent without facing consequences. I didn't care about the money anymore. It wasn't about that. It was about making sure she couldn't manipulate me, take what wasn't hers, and leave me broken. The first thing I did was arrange a meeting with Aiden. He had been smug about his affair, thinking he was untouchable, but I wasn't going to let him walk away unscathed. He needed to understand that I wasn't bluffing. We met at a local cafe. He walked in, casual, as if everything was fine. I waited for him to sit before speaking. "Aiden," I started, my voice steady but filled with purpose. "I know what you've been doing with Rachel, and if you don't back off, I'll expose everything I have on both of you. Every message, every conversation, every lie." He froze for a moment, his cocky expression faltering. "You wouldn't," he muttered, trying to regain control of the situation. "You don't have anything." "Oh, I do. I said, my tone colder now. "I've got all the proof I need, and I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of man you really are." Aiden's smugness quickly dissolved, replaced by nervousness. He clearly realized I wasn't bluffing, that I had the power to ruin his life just as easily as he had tried to ruin mine. "You wouldn't want to mess with me," he said, but there was a hint of doubt in his voice. "I already have," I replied, standing up to leave. "Take the hint, Aiden. Back off." As I walked out, I felt a little lighter, a little more in control of my future. But the battle wasn't over yet. Later that day, I received a call from Amanda, a former colleague of Rachel's. She had always been a quiet observer, never too involved with my personal life, but now she reached out with a warning. "Ben, I need to tell you something. Rachel has been spreading lies about you at work, telling people you're abusive. She's trying to make you look like the bad guy." The news hit me like a slap in the face, but it wasn't surprising. Rachel had always been able to twist things to her advantage, and now she was using her old tactics to paint me as the villain. I wasn't going to let it slide. I had the evidence, and I was ready to use it. I went into the mediation meeting with Rachel, prepared for her manipulations. She was as cold as ever, sitting across from me, her eyes hard with disdain. "I want the house," she said, her voice sharp. "It's mine. I deserve it." I didn't flinch. "Everything was built on lies, Rachel. You don't get to take it all because of your deceit." The silence between us was thick, but in that moment, I knew I was no longer the broken man she thought I was. I had taken back my power. Rachel's eyes flickered with uncertainty, but she still tried to push for the house. "You'll regret this," she warned, her voice shaking with frustration. "You'll always remember me." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I walked away with the house, my life now firmly in my hands. Rachel's hold over me was slipping, and I was no longer afraid of what she could do. As I left the mediation room, a sense of peace washed over me. I had reclaimed my life. I had taken the first step toward rebuilding, and I wasn't going to let Rachel or anyone else hold me back anymore. The house felt quieter than it ever had before. The silence in the air was thick with the remnants of Rachel's presence, a presence that had once filled every corner of the space, but now felt hollow. I spent the next few days cleaning, not just physically, but emotionally too. I started by sorting through the things she had left behind. Clothes, makeup, trinkets that used to hold meaning, but now seemed insignificant. I replaced the fake decor, the things she had picked to make the house look perfect. Now, I replaced them with real, meaningful items, books I had loved since childhood, a few photos of places I'd visited before everything fell apart, things that reminded me of who I was before I let myself get lost in Rachel's world. The house felt lighter, more like mine. It wasn't just about the physical space. I began running again, but this time, I wasn't running to escape anything. I was running to reconnect with myself. I remembered what it felt like to breathe freely, to move without the weight of someone else's lies holding me back. I could feel my body getting stronger, and with it, I felt the strength returning to my mind. Sleep, too, came more easily. I wasn't waking up in the middle of the night with the same pit of dread in my stomach. I wasn't obsessing over what Rachel might be doing or what she would say next. I was sleeping through the night, my mind at ease for the first time in years. I dreamed of a future that wasn't tied to the past, a future that was finally my own. I spent a lot of time sitting on the porch, watching the sunset, feeling the cool evening breeze on my skin. For the first time in so long, I could sit in silence and not feel the gnawing anxiety that had once been a constant companion. The weight I had been carrying for years, the guilt, the shame, the anger, was finally lifting. I realized that everything I had lost wasn't truly a loss. It was a necessary clearing, a shedding of everything that had kept me trapped in that toxic cycle. I wasn't just rebuilding my home. I was rebuilding myself. The worst was behind me now. And though I had no idea what the future would hold, for the first time in a long time, I was looking forward to it. The world felt wide open, and I was ready to walk into it on my own terms. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I sat back in my chair and closed my eyes. I felt at peace, truly at peace. I was no longer defined by Rachel's betrayal or the family's cruelty. I was defined by what I chose to do with the life I had left, and for the first time, I was ready to make it my own.